Good evening, everyone. I'll call the City Council to order at 8 p.m. on Monday evening, May 20th, 2024. This meeting is being recorded. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. We have 19 items on this evening's agenda, and I will ask the city clerk to please read agenda item number 1.
Minutes of the City Council meeting May 6, 2024.
Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to accept and place on file the minutes.
Motion made and second to accept and place on file the minutes. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, are those in favor? Opposed? The minutes are filed, 11-0. Agenda item number 2.
Now is the time for the public hearing on the proposed fiscal year 2025 operating budget as submitted by Mayor Dumas in the amount of $196,610,886, which represents a 4.69% increase over the fiscal year 2024 appropriation. Order number 24-100, 9160.
Okay, this public hearing, we take it up in 4 stages. First, with the public speaking in favor. Second, questions from the public. Third, public speaking in opposition, and then finally, questions from the City Council. So we'll open the first part of the public hearing with members of the public speaking in favor. Any members of the public speaking in favor, please come up and just to remind everyone, there'll be a 3-minute time limit on speeches, so please make your points within 3 minutes, and I will ask the clerk to monitor the time. Thank you. Name and address for the record.
Kathleen Newton, address 32 Harvard Street in Marlborough. I'm here tonight regarding the communications director's position that I guess has been turned down a couple of times. I hope that's okay. I am on, just for clarification, I am on the Historic Commission, but I don't represent them here tonight. I'm just here personally. But I do want to mention that the reason I found out about the Historic Commission was due to a Facebook ad that I do not see very often. That was like a one-off. And I've been interested in, some type of public service, and there really isn't any clear way to find out what's available. So I really do believe in the communication for the citizens of Marlborough. And the way the website's set up, I know they've got somebody working on the website, upgrading, but you're going to need somebody who knows media, who knows what to put on that website, how to get people involved. I'm not sure if a Marlborough City app is included in that, where the citizens can go and find out. I just went on to the city website tonight. I didn't see anything about this meeting tonight. I found out through the mayor's newsletter. This is why it is so important. You talk about return on investment. A communications director would have a huge return on investment in getting the public involved. And I really do hope that you will, consider this tonight. That's all I had to say.
Thank you, Kathy. Any other members of the public speaking in favor? Name and address.
Christian Dumas, 134R South Street, Marlborough, Massachusetts. Good evening, Council President and Councilors. I'm obviously in favor of the budget that was submitted. I'm speaking tonight of the opposition of the budget that was voted by the Marlborough City Council Finance Committee. Specifically, I'm solely in opposition to the removal of funding for the Communications Director position. I presented the City Council with a conservative budget that streamlined positions and added new ones. I removed 3 positions and added only 2, one with being the Communications Director. Since taking office, we have received nothing but positive feedback on the improved communication throughout the city's newsletter and social media. These efforts, however, aren't even half of what the city could be doing to reach out to our residents. The city newsletter and social media are being done by my existing staff off hours in order to keep up with the regular workload of my office. We are currently not sending out any texts or call alerts for water main breaks, street closures, trash delays, and program reminders or any other items. We only active on one social media platform when we could be active in engaging residents on at least 4. We are not only reaching out to residents in any other language other than English, as we do not have the capacity or staff to do so. Finally, we'll have a new $40,000 website that the City Council invested, which I thank you for, and that will not be able to be upkept properly without a dedicated staff member. In 2022, when I was a city councilor, I was coming home from a long weekend down the Cape. After a 3-hour drive, I found out my street was closed for construction. I was not notified of this closure as a city councilor or a resident. This is extremely frustrating. One of the main reasons is pretty much the straw that broke the camel's back of why I ran for mayor. We get complaints like this in my office, to the DPW, and other departments every day. I now know why I did not receive any notification that my street was closed. The mayor's office and the city does not have the bandwidth to handle comprehensive communications to 42,000 residents over email, text, social media, and the website. I've identified an issue that our constituents are facing across the city, and I've provided the most effective solution, just like the majority of every other city who already funds this position. This is why I'm requesting that the City Council vote to not only accept the Finance Committee's recommendation to cut the Communications Director funding from the fiscal year 25 budget. Moreover, I'm requesting that you trust both your constituents and the mayor that they elected to know what we need as a thriving 21st century city. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any other members of the public speaking in favor?
Hi, my name is Catherine Hennessy, and I'm a resident 199 Stearns Road. So I'm speaking to you tonight on a number of things. Obviously, I am in favor of the full budget, the conservative budget that Mayor Dumas put before you all. The reason I'm for it is because obviously we have to put a lot of trust within our department heads. We've hired quality people to the best of our ability, and we need to actually believe what they are moving forward with is on data. It's on understood, reasonable decision-making, and that we've hired them to do that. You all have been discussing a potential removal tonight of what was the new ordinance that was brought in 21, and you're looking at a removal, which you discussed during the financial hearing. And it was on the financial hearing.
This is a public hearing for the budget, not other ordinances.
And it is in favor, and it is talking about the whole collective. The collective would be that I would like for us to make sure that we are considering the latitude that is needed to hire our quality staff. And if we hire quality staff, then we need to understand those department heads are coming to you with a reasonable budget to make sure they are accomplishing the goals of this city in totality. So when you are reducing different line items, whether it be within the DPW, whether it be discussions around the communications director, I'm asking for you to actually put some trust within the people that have been brought in, whether they have been hired or elected. The communications director role, as discussed by not only Kathy tonight, but also the mayor, is to help our citizens. Our citizens are diverse. They speak different languages, and we need to make sure that we are communicating fully with them so that they fully understand what is going on every single day, every single night. And if we don't have somebody that is in that position to be able to speak to them reasonably and effectively, then we are not doing our jobs. So I'm asking you all to consider the options on some of the things you looked to reduce the other evening and reconsider. Think about the broader public that we are serving. And you know that I am talking about also the school committee. That's what I see every single day. Our numbers have changed, this community has changed, and we need to adapt appropriately to make sure that our city is well taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Any other members of the public speaking in favor?
Hello, my name is Sue Dolish. I'm at 120 Westminster Drive, Marlborough. And I am speaking in favor of the communications director position being reconsidered and held. I've been here 10 years, and until Mayor Dumas was elected, I never received any communications about what was going on in our city. In the short time that he's been here, I have thoroughly been informed and enjoyed the monthly newsletter and other updates that have been coming. But it's something that he can't keep doing on his own. He needs a qualified communications director to deal that, and so much of what the former people here have said. We have a diverse community, and although I'm able to read these things, the people of all the other ethnic groups that are not English speakers are not able to read that and stay updated. And I think for the good of our community, we're a very diverse community. I think we need to get that. I think that's the best thing for the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Any other members of the public speaking in favor?
It's Harmony Larson. I'm 173 Barnard Road. I wasn't planning to say anything tonight, but communications is my profession, and I think it's all of your profession as well. I don't think there is a more important function within the within the city than sharing information with the people that put you all in these chairs. For that reason, I encourage you to reconsider the position. I also understand there was some discussion about the salary being too high because it's comparable to a fireman. I apologize if I'm mixing that up a little bit. Again, I do think communication is an essential function, and it does impact safety, and it impacts engagement. Thank you.
Thanks, Harmony. Any other members of the public wishing to speak in favor?
Hi, I'm Laura Sanders, 88 Fulton Street. I am writing in support of the Mayor's Communication Director position. The prioritization of communication amongst our residents is extremely beneficial in many areas. There is a more engaged, informed community that leads to trust with the local government. Improving the communication channel by use of email, text, phone calls, social media, and an updated website provides real-time updates on road closures, community events, and emergency situations happening in the city. By denying the mayor's request for this position and removing the funding is sending a message that trust, transparency, and an engaged, informed community is not valued or of any importance. The mayor's monthly newsletter has been a breath of fresh air that I truly look forward to each month. Prior to our current mayor, my sister owns a small business in town. And in order for me to find out what was going around in our city, I would have to ask her, because I knew she had inside information by her groups that she would attend. And she would tell me what was going on, what building was coming up, what event was going on. It was impossible to find that information out online. I'm a veteran of the United States Army Reserve. I'm a 24-year labor and delivery nurse and a proud, lifelong resident of Marlborough. All three of these areas rely on strong, effective, and reliable communication. As an example, I work at Mass General Hospital in Boston, which in and of itself is a small city of 25,000 employees. We have 3 people in charge of communications. There is a monthly newsletter called Caring Hotlines, daily broadcast emails, user-friendly websites, and weekly flyers. All of these are designed to keep us up to date on what is going on in our city and a feeling of a sense of community. As a tax-paying resident of Marlborough, which has over 40,000 residents, I deserve to be informed on what is happening in my community, and I urge the City Council to add the Communications Director position into the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Any other members of the public speaking in favor? Any other members of the public speaking in favor? Any other members of the public speaking in favor? Hearing none, I close that portion of the public hearing. Questions from the public? Any questions from the public? Any questions from the public? Hearing none, I close that portion of the public hearing. Any members of the public speaking in opposition? Members of the public speaking in opposition? Members of the public speaking in opposition? Hearing none, I close that portion of the public hearing. Questions from the city councilors? Questions from the city councilors? Any questions from the city councilors? Councilor Orm.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good handout on the summary of the Finance Committee meeting we received today, and As you can see, on the communications director, I did not vote to remove it. So I stand here tonight to make a motion to reinstate that position. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Orm. Any other members of the councilors wish to comment on the public hearing? Any members or comments from the councilors? Any questions or comments from the councilors? Councilor Ficillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. First off, just want to take a moment to thank everybody who came and spoke today at the public hearing. I do want to keep my remarks rather brief. Looking at the same handout that Councilor Orem had, I did vote to remove the communications director position, and I am going to stand by that vote tonight. As we all know, full transparency in government is the cornerstone of government, and I couldn't agree more with what folks have said tonight about that. But I do have several concerns with this position, and I maintain those concerns. I know that in a previous Finance Committee meeting, the mayor had given a slideshow about the city of Worcester and some of the social media and communications that they do. And it was a brilliant slideshow, and I couldn't help but notice so many of the similarities that the city of Marlborough already does. I went back and took a look at the City of Marlborough Facebook page, and just 2 days ago, there was a graphic posted about smart boxes being out for rodent control. On May 6th, there were 3 posts, a boardwalk with graphics, the boardwalk graphic showcasing text over a layered background, a report of the FY25 budget narrative submitted by the mayor. It included the link, and it talked about the process of what it takes to pass a budget as a city. It was incredibly educational, and I commend the mayor for that. I think it was fantastic. But as I look through some of these, I can't help but see that we're already doing a fantastic job. And that's why I don't see the need for a communications director at the present moment. If we're already doing these things, I look back April 30th, the mayor had said just a week ago today that the city has a very tough time when it comes to same-day road closures. I know you had mentioned that tonight, Mr. Mayor, but I see the graphics posted time and time again. Road closure today on this road, road closure today on that road. The only thing that has to be changed for those graphics is simply the date and the road that we're doing. It doesn't take a communications director to make those alterations, in my opinion. Lastly, I think the biggest concern and a big reason why some councilors have voted in favor of this is that we do need somebody who speaks Portuguese in the city. But from my understanding, this position does not guarantee that we will have someone who does. The mayor has said that it's a preference for the candidate, and so I really don't think we can bank our vote or our decision on that. I also know that during my time at City Hall, I knew of at least one employee who did speak Portuguese and regularly assisted the mayor's office. So I would say I think we should look internally first before we start looking to hire a new employee. And lastly, I understand that under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, according to Mass Legal Help, in courts, schools, hospitals, police, and government programs, people have the right to an interpreter. So I really think that as a city, we should take a look at how other communities make sure that people get those rights before we go ahead and hire a new employee, not knowing if they will even be able to speak Portuguese. Because again, it is not a guarantee in this ordinance. I really do believe that our outreach needs to include all residents. I couldn't agree more. But I also know that it doesn't mean that we need a communications director. I think we can do it together. We can do it as a council. We can do it with the mayor. But I don't think that that requires us to create a new position. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Ficillo. Any other questions or comments from the councilors? Councilor Preciado.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming here. I did speak in favor of the position during the budget hearings last week. But I did also urge the mayor, if this didn't pass, to come back with the position again in proper format. It would be great to have translation services. It'd be great to be able to communicate effectively with our residents. I am under the understanding that the city has a majority minority, so I would say a lot of Spanish, Portuguese speaking in this city, and that communication is not going out to our residents, not effectively and not in a manner that I would see fit as well, being a Spanish speaker as my first language. So, like I said, I would strongly urge the position to be made, but I don't think I can support it in this budget the way it's being proposed right now. I would like it to be a publicly posted position. I would like some transparency in who's being hired. I would like the stipulations that they be able to speak Spanish or Portuguese or even both. So because of those reasons, I can't support it in this budget today.
Thank you, Councilor Preciado. Any other comments or questions from the councilors? Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. If Councilor Orban requires a second, I would second the order. I support.
Point of order, this is a public hearing, not a motion on the amendment.
Understood. Just putting that out there. I do think that the communication director position would be something that is important. As I did talk to before, basically, there's a difference between content and process, and managing the website is something that requires some degree of expertise in managing content, which is different than the technology itself. So someone has to own it. That's kind of what funnel from that perspective. But overall, I think the rest of the budget is an outstanding position, and thank everyone for coming up and expressing their opinion.
Thank you, Councilor Doucette. Any other comments or questions from the councilors? Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I would just like to point out that the reductions that the Finance Committee had approved for this upcoming fiscal year total $717,732. Looking back at last year, when our current mayor sat on the Finance Committee, the Finance Committee recommended 5-0, the full committee, reductions totaling $940,100. Those were then approved by the full council. We also added in some, requested that they be added in as the budget was done. So councils in the past, as long as I've been on this committee, have done a pretty thorough job of, some would say nitpicking, some would say conservatively looking at the budget to enable some reductions. As been pointed out over and over and over again, those reductions have not really hurt any operating position or department within the city. You can work it out with extra money in the budget, and department heads can transfer funds, or the council can approve a transfer if needed. So our reductions, to me, are reasonable. I support them. I support the concept of a communications director. I understand what the mayor wants to do. As I said once before, and not just this mayor, but prior mayor who has sent out communications, it becomes a PR tool for the mayor running for re-election. It's not what I would consider the need for a newsletter to be sending out information to the community. It doesn't need to come from the mayor. It just needs to come from someone employed by the city. So if there's a way to figure out how to make this position a position that the council could then approve, we could put the parameters on what they did, I would fully support that. But I can't support it, and will vote to support the reduction by the Finance Committee at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Roby. Any other comments or questions from the city councilors? Comments or questions from the city councilors? Comments or questions from the city council? Councilor Navin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm sorry, I wasn't going to, and I was going to let you get to the third complete ask. And I know we'll have more opportunities to discuss this position as we go through the process and official motions are made. I will echo the choir here and thank everybody who came to speak, also folks who wrote in at home. Whereas no one spoke against this or in support of the Finance Committee's reduction, I know we all received emails that actually weighed in on both sides of this issue, which are quite powerful when a lot of the letters that we did receive held the same format, but almost all of the no's for this position were individual letters and emails. And that's not to discount or put more weight on either side of it. I think everybody recognizes that increased communication in this city is a good thing. It is paramount, not only for people in the council, not only for the mayor, but for department heads and for everybody else. we continue to work hard every day, everybody who works in this building and in all our city departments, to help members of the public understand what's going on. I think it's a credit. We talked about this the first couple of times that we had meetings on this. The mayor, since he has come into office, has already increased communication quite a bit. I think we've seen that. It is a credit to the mayor and to Ryan and to Heather. One of the concerns we had when this was brought up the first time, one of the things that I voiced was I wanted to see how the impact on the budget would be. We had a new mayor, we have a new administration. This was right out of the box, right out of the gate, and we still hadn't seen the budget. And so we encouraged the mayor to come back and file it with the budget. This was filed as part of the budget proposal, a budget proposal that had a 4.5% increase in the overall city budget. Similar to prior years, but it's still a 4.5% increase to the city budget. Where our residents and our ratepayers are going to see an 8% increase in their water rates coming up. They're going to see a 9% increase in their sewer rates. I do not doubt that there are not increased ways that we can increase communication, and I think we should continue to do so. One of the concerning things for me is that even though we have kind of been upfront about our skepticism of the need for this position right now at this early point without a case with some fact-based evidence and experiences over the course of a year being submitted to us, is that we're not hearing some other ways, and I think Councilor Ficillo, you kind of hit the nail on the head. There are other ways that we could be working to do this, and I'd be interested to hear other ways that we can manage with these constraints. Part of the discussion is often, how do we manage with the restraints and the resources that we have? You know, we just increased the mayor's line item to have additional money for the internship program. We are always looking to find out how we can raise resources and put out for the senior tax credit program. Are there ways that we can use the resources that we have? I know other departments do have people who speak Portuguese and speak Spanish. How can we work together to address these needs in the short term? A lot of us here are open to the idea of some sort of communications post. How do we get there? I just want to be clear to folks who are listening that I don't think most of us are a no on the idea, but we are concerned about how we implement this and the impact that it's going to have on our tax base, our citizens, our ratepayers, our businesses. And so I think it requires quite a bit of thought and analysis from all of us. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Navin. Any other questions or comments from the councilors? Questions or comments from the councilors? Questions or comments from the council? Councilor Oram.
Thank you, Mr. President. And you are correct. We are in a public hearing right now, so I'll hold off on my motion until this budget comes up to be voted on by the full city council. The only thing I would add is all good comments. Thanks to the public, too, for being here. The situation I see, because I worked in municipal government, and I still do for 40 years, is when you have one person maybe that you go to for language translation, they're not always there. And I'm finding more and more, I work with the local city councilors, that we're seeing more and more enforcement issues. And many times, it's a language barrier. So I'm hoping that the language part of this will be a very important part for the communication director. I'm on our website right now. The summer concerts aren't translated in any other language. The Lake Williams walkway is not there, and all the others. So I see the importance for the language component of this, as well as the communication. So I do support it. I trust the mayor that he would not come down and hire someone that didn't have the language needs that we need here in the city. But we'll see how it all flows when it comes time for the vote. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Oram. Are there any questions from the councilors? Are there any questions or comments from the councilors? Don't make me say the third one. Someone raised their hand. Any comments or questions from the councilors? Hearing none, I close that portion of the public hearing and the entire public hearing. Agenda item number 3.
Now is the time for the public hearing on the proposed zoning amendment to Chapter 650 zoning to create the Donald Lynch Boulevard District, order number 24-100, 9147.
Okay, this public hearing is going to be taken up in 4 stages. First, with the public speaking in favor. Second, questions from the public. Third, public speaking in opposition. And fourth, questions from the city council. We'll start with the person presenting, which would be me. So I would ask Councilor Roby to please come up and take the podium.
Councilor Austin, you ready?
I am ready. Okay, my name is Mike Ossing, 43 Varley Road, Marlborough. I'm here to present the proposed zoning change for the Donald Lynch Boulevard. The agenda, going to go over the purpose, the background, some challenges and opportunities, some successes, actually illustrate where the area is, some of the uses, and some height, frontage, and parking. So the purpose, so why are we doing this? So we want to enhance the future of Donald Lynch Boulevard by creating a zoning change that's going to proactively guide the commercial development and make this be our economic engine for the city, all right? We all know the malls are struggling a little bit now, so this is kind of that future look as where we'd like it to go. Background, councilors, you've heard most of this before, but it started back in 2017 with Attorney Gadbois. We contracted MAPC, we worked with MEDC, we conducted 2 public meetings, we worked with the town of Berlin, we drafted a vision document. That vision document was then presented to Urban Affairs back in 2 months ago in March, and we received positive feedback and support for the zoning change from Urban Affairs. So the challenges, as I mentioned, malls are struggling to stay economically viable as the consumer shopping habits evolve, and you see that as you walk through our mall now and see Sears is closing and some of the other anchors are struggling as well. So vacancy on Donald Lynch Boulevard, we want this to help with employee retention and attraction for existing and new businesses. Feedback from the businesses includes the ability to attract and retain employees. It's a major factor in choosing a location. So they want to come to the city because they got stuff to do here when they're in the city. All right, so that's why it's important for us to take a look at this and say, hey, do we want to change the zoning to make it more attractive for the developers that are there, and then ultimately for the folks that will work there and hopefully play there. So we want to bring additional visitors into the area, and one of the big things we know, it lacks restaurants and drive-through facilities. So that's a key element of the change that I'm going to talk to you about in a few minutes. So some of the successes, so Aspen Aerogel has moved into the Old Navy and Sports Authority store. Sartorius has come in. They've done a great job. They've been a great partner in the city. They've got 3 or 4 buildings now in the city. As a city, we put $5.5 million into upgrading Donald Lynch Boulevard so that we fix the infrastructure. So you build the infrastructure, they will come. And then the sports center. The sports center is key. From hotel rooms to restaurants to bringing revenue into the city, that is a piece that we've got to keep moving forward. So now I just want to show you where the area is, right? So the next item, I can see, oh, keep going, one more, there we go. So that's the zoning map for the city. So Alex doesn't yell at me. So, City of Marlborough, go back one more. It's okay? Doesn't like going backwards? So, City of Marlborough, Donald Lynch Boulevard. Now we can go to the next one, Steve. So it's 495, 290, and the Berlin Town Line. So basically, 495, 290, it's this area here. All right, and I think Councilor Roby, that addressed your concern with getting a bigger map for Donald Lynch Boulevard. So with that, the idea is it's currently zoned limited industrial. So in limited industrial, there are uses that are permitted, which is a yes, uses that are not permitted, which is a no, and uses that require a special permit. So we went through, we met with MAPC, the businesses in the area, and we've come up with some changes. So I'm going to just quickly highlight what those changes are. So in the limited industrial, items that are currently allowed by right, we're going to change to a special permit. And those include residential accessories, customary home occupation, yard sales, soil removal, accessory uses, agriculture, airports, and data storage. Basically, we don't want to let them there by right, but we will consider them with a special permit. Items that currently require a special permit in limited industrial that we're going to say no on the Donald Lynch Boulevard, we don't want contractor yards, outdoor storage, or landscape yards. We know what kind of challenges those pose. So those will not be permitted in the Donald Lynch Boulevard. In LI, you need a special permit for a restaurant. We're going to change that to a yes. We want restaurants. TGI Fridays is gone. Bertucci's is gone. All right? We need to bring restaurants down into the Donald Lynch Boulevard area. items that are not allowed, that will be allowed by right: medical offices, open-air markets, public recreation, and conservation. And now, this is where what I call the bulk of the changes are. Items that you cannot do in limited industrial, but you can do with a special permit. So that's the safeguard for the city, with a special permit from the city council. Multifamily housing. We found, looking at malls throughout the country that are struggling and how they're evolving, they're having some housing component to them. Artist studios, recording studios, convert buildings to offices, banks, and insurance uses. Councilor Preciado, veterinary hospital. Thank you very much. We caught that one. We put that back in there to allow the veterinary hospital. It wasn't allowed. It will be allowed with a special permit. Schools for business, trade, music, or dance, private clubs, and self-service laundry. And these are short, I understand, but if you go to the table of uses, there's footnotes that describe all the subtleties that go with some of these. Continuing on the next page, dental clinics, consumer service establishment, Councilor Roby's favorite topic, mixed-use development, copy shops, newspaper offices. These are the two big ones. Restaurants with drive-throughs, and then drive-through capability, because those are the ones that today's consumer wants. We've found through COVID, as Councilor Landers will continue to tell us the value of those. So those are big. But again, through a special permit from the City Council. Manufacturing, where the majority of items are sold on the premises. Light manufacturing, retail accessory, and dry cleaning. So finally, the other key part of this zoning change is adjusting the height, frontage, and parking. A lot of these parcels are big. So we've shrunk some of the sizes, increased the height, shrunk some of the sizes for frontage and lot dimensions that will allow smaller buildings. Envision in front of the mall a couple of restaurants. So pick your favorite fast food place, something like that set up along those that you can't do before, but you can do with a special permit. And then we've adjusted the parking requirements that this City Council will be able to approve. That concludes my presentation, Madam President, and I'll take questions when the time permits.
Is there any other public speaking in favor?
Hello, my name is Jim Ward. I'm a partner in the land use group at Nutter, McLennan and Fish, and I represent the receiver for the Solomon Pond Mall. Obviously, we are here in favor of this, and I'm just going to start my sort of brief remarks with two apologies, which is probably not the right way to start remarks, but we tried to send, this is just a letter with some suggested markups that somehow took 3 times before we could get it to the City Council today from my assistant. So it has been emailed to you, but I have 11 copies, hard copies, if you would like them. So I can leave them if you'd like. The presentation talked about redevelopment of these kind of malls. I've actually done a couple, and both were conversions of Sears stores, well, not conversion, tearing them down and making them multifamily buildings in their place. So I think it's obviously a trend and a good trend because you just have to go to the mall and see what's happening out there. This particular site, the mall, I would say, and one of the things is that, as you showed, this is a very big area being rezoned. We're kind of a small part of that, overall acreage-wise. I don't even think we're the biggest parcel in it. But so the parcel itself is complex, not only from the fact that it's in 2 different municipalities, it's actually 4 different landowners. The big boxes are all owned by the big box people. Sears owns their parcel, JCPenney owns their parcel. So it makes a challenge. And there are also existing special permits, development agreements. So redeveloping it is possible, and this is a step in the right direction, but we just made a couple of suggestions that might make it a little easier, because people who are trying to redevelop these kind of parcels, they want clarity. In a perfect world, you would do like a sub-district and just make it exactly what you want, but because there's no developer out there coming, trying to redevelopment, all of it, it might be a little difficult. So what we proposed and our changes is to carve out, if you will, and just describe something called, it's already in your zoning ordinance, called development lot, which is a shopping mall. And it gives a development lot a little extra relief. For example, as I said, there are 4 lots currently out there. What it would allow you to do is make it so that some of the setbacks don't apply because it's an internal lot. So some of the setbacks that would otherwise apply if you were measuring the setbacks from the exterior of the parcel would make sense, but if it was in the interior, it impedes development. Other things like parking, landscaping, stormwater, we make suggestions that would allow those individual lots to be redeveloped, and you would only apply the development standards to those individual lots instead of the entire parcel. I mean, that just is kind of common sense. We make a couple of other suggestions and some dimensions of, for example, the lot is currently covered at 85%, and I think they're proposing lot coverage to be 80%, which would make the parcel immediately non-conforming with respect to the new overlay district, which would require an additional set of permitting. You'd have to go through the Zoning Board of Appeals to get a finding, as a Section 6 finding, as a non-conforming structure. So it's just, they're not wholesale tweaks, and when you look at it, you'll be like, they aren't that big of changes. They're like a line here, a line there. But I think if you did that, it would make it slightly easier to develop, because, like I said, this is going to be a tough site, but this is a step in the right direction.
Thank you.
Do you want me to give that to anybody?
Why don't you give them to the city council secretary? She can disperse them at a later time. Is there anybody else wishing to speak in favor?
Yeah.
Anybody else wishing to speak in favor? Hearing none, I will move to questions from the public. Is there any public asking questions? Any public asking questions?
Kathy Newton again from 32 Harvard Street. With regard to you mentioned multifamily, I noticed that there's a lot of apartments going up, and I'm just thinking that in that area, there's a lot of open land space, whether or not it could be considered if you're going to put any kind of residential, because there's already apartments down in one end by the skating rink, or New England Sports Center, whether they could do more of a, like they did behind Home Depot. Smaller homes, maybe leased land, to encourage people, because right now everything's skyrocketing, the cost of housing is skyrocketing, but giving people an option to have lower cost housing be right there, like, the ones that are actually going to shop in these stores or go to the drive-throughs. There's already a Dunkin' Donuts down the street in Bolton, like Berlin, whatever, is right there. And they're right near 495, 290, to get other jobs, to commute. But I just think as an idea, it might be something you could consider, is some type of housing for people, because these types of jobs in retail do not pay a lot. And if you're going to attract people to work at these jobs, it would be helpful if they had some way of, being able to live affordably in that area. It's something to consider.
Mr. Austin, do you have a
I'll try to
comment?
answer, Kathy, what I can. So part of shrinking down some of the green space to 80%, as Mr. Ward said, part of that to open up some of the more green space to tighten it up, because it is a lot of parking that's out there right now. But as far as the housing part goes, that is something we want to look at, because there are malls out there that have done a combination of, I call it the apartment style, the 3-story with what I call the 2-story townhouses, and they've done a nice mix of those around it. So we will now be able to hopefully craft something like that if we can find the right developer to bring that in. Nope.
The reason I mentioned the apartments and having housing is to bring in the tax. I'm not sure what the comparison is for apartment buildings, how much tax revenue it brings in. But I'm assuming that if you have a number of smaller homes, that may bring in more tax dollars if you're talking about, people with families, kids, I'm not sure what the comparison would be, but that might be something to look at, what the tax income from an apartment building would be, as opposed to some type of smaller homes, condo style type thing.
Sure. No, and we can look at that when that comes before the council.
Are there any other questions from the public?
Just a quick one. Again, Harmony Larson, 173 Barnard Road. Did you say that this area that's shaded includes both Marlborough land and Berlin, or is that the town line on the north?
So Alex will yell at me again. So this is the mall here. As you can see, the town line basically cuts the mall right in half. Like Macy's is in Marlborough, but their parking garage is in Berlin. Sears is in Marlborough, half the mall is in Berlin. So we can only zone what we control, which is the Marlborough piece. I will tell you that Berlin, any water or sewer access is all being provided by Marlborough. So we've been trying to engage Berlin to see if they want to make changes or what they would be. But anything that they do, unless they're going to create their own water or sewer system, is going to need Marlborough approval. So we'll do our best, Harmony, to make sure we can develop something, or hopefully someone comes. Just to set the record straight, with Downtown Village, with the Wayside District and the Neighborhood District, if the zoning change gets approved, you're talking 5 to 7 years before you see a project that's going to work. It just takes that long, as Mr. Ward will tell you, for the developers to figure out what does it mean, what does it look like, and how we want to act. So this isn't, we change the zoning today, and there's going to be housing tomorrow or a restaurant tomorrow. It just doesn't work that fast.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the public? Any other questions from the public? Seeing none, we'll move to public speaking in opposition. Is there anyone speaking in opposition? Anyone speaking in opposition? Seeing none, we will move to questions from the council. Are there councilors with questions? Councilor Oram?
Thank you, Madam President. I look around first because I don't always want to be the first to stand, but again, I guess I'll be the first to stand and ask some questions. Has there been any meetings with the residents that live in the area, including Berlin Road and other roads that come down to the mall?
We've had 2 public meetings back in 2021. There haven't been any recently, but we have. People were invited to participate, and we had people participate. The vision document lists all the people that were there and comments that they had.
In the past, I know stop signs went up and then they went down on a few of the roads because of traffic. So I would suggest as we get deeper into this, maybe send out a notification. I don't believe they get notified of these public hearings, as we heard in another public hearing, but it might be good to look at a radius around the mall and see what their input might be as well. They probably might have some suggestions that could be helpful. Another one is youth. You know, I would look around, there's only one that I can find in the audience right now. And what are their ideas? I've heard through the Rotary Club that I serve on and with that they have ideas, and maybe they can help with suggestions. That would be helpful, especially just recently at a meeting, I heard one of the Rotarians talking about one of those, they're like a lift that goes from one place to another. You hang on them. I don't know what they call them, but they're fun, I guess. You go out in the woods and you go on those. But they were talking about going from one side of the mall to the other on one of these things you hang on. I said, oh, maybe it might work. It's these new concepts that are happening. And last but not least, I go to Hudson now and then to Lowe's and Market Basket, and that outside mall is moving like crazy. It's really doing very well, and Shoppers World was the original concept of an outside mall, and would that possibly work? And the other thing that we're seeing more and more of is the need for affordable housing. I think we all know that. It was mentioned by a speaker that retailers that hire people, they're going to need a place to live, so hopefully there can be an affordable component there, and maybe an affordable component for residents that want to stay in Marlborough but hang out at the mall, you know, where they could live upstairs and walk through the mall and enjoy their walk during the day, especially during, say, a blizzard. So those are the type of concepts I would just ask that we involve our senior population, our youth, as well as all the other people that are involved in development. I want to thank you, Mr. President, for presenting this. Thank you.
Any other councilors with questions? Any other councilors with questions? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. This is in Urban Affairs. There will be a public hearing by the Planning Board, and once that's complete, it can get taken up. Thank you.
My second apology was that we made our edits to the first version and you got the second version.
Well, we'll talk after. I got a meeting, right? Thanks. You all set? Ready to go? Okay. Agenda item number 4.
Communication from the mayor regarding a transfer request in the amount of $83,103, which moves funds from and to various accounts for the Department of Public Works and the City Clerk's Office. In addition, a transfer request totaling $644,060 from free cash to open space stabilization and snow and ice.
Councilor Irish.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to approve the year-end transfer request, please.
Motion made and seconded to approve the year-end transfers. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? The year-end transfers are approved 11-0. Agenda item number 5.
Communication from the mayor regarding transfer requests in the amount of $165,000 from free cash to Labor Day Parade and DPW projects to support the Labor Day Parade and the new dog park.
Councilor Irish.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to refer to the Finance Committee, please.
Motion made and seconded to refer to the Finance Committee. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It's going to Finance 11-0. Agenda item number 6.
Communication from the mayor regarding revolving fund spending limits for the Public Safety Revolving Fund, the Parks and Recreation Revolving Fund, the Council on Aging Revolving Fund, and the Water and Sewer Revolving Fund for fiscal year 2025.
Councilor Irish.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to refer to the Finance Committee, please.
Motion made and seconded to refer to the Finance Committee. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It's going to Finance 11-0. Agenda item number 7.
Communication from the mayor regarding proposed ordinance amendments to the City Code, Chapter 125 Personnel, Section 5, Preparation and Classification Descriptions, and to Chapter 125 Personnel, Section 6, Salary Schedule, relative to the part-time clerk within the fire department.
Councilor Irish.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to refer to the Finance Committee, please.
Motion made and seconded to refer to the Finance Committee. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It's going to Finance 11-0. Agenda item number 8.
Communication from the mayor regarding appointment of Mary Lou Vanzini to the Council on Aging Board for a term of 4 years to expire on May 1st, 2028.
Councilor Naven.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to refer to the Personnel Committee.
Motion made and seconded to refer to the Personnel Committee. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It's going to personnel, 11-0. Agenda item number 9.
Communication from the mayor regarding acceptance of the hazard mitigation plan.
Councilor Irish.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to adopt the resolution, please.
Motion made and seconded to adopt the resolution. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It is adopted and approved plan, and the vote is 11-0. Agenda item number 10.
Communication from City Solicitor Jason Grossfield regarding proposed regulatory agreement and declaration of restrictive covenants for rental project pursuant to special permit condition number 6 at the Green District Phase 2, Cimarano Drive.
Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. President. We did a similar covenant for Phase 1. I'm going to move to approve the regulatory agreement and covenant for Phase 2.
Motion made and seconded to approve the covenant for Phase 2 at the Green District. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It is approved by a vote of 11-0. Agenda item number 11.
Communication from City Solicitor Jason Grossfield regarding request for executive session regarding the City of Marlborough versus the Town of Northborough, authorization of settlement agreement and intermunicipal agreement for wastewater treatment and disposal with the Town of Northborough.
Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to have this be at the end of our agenda when we finish with number 19.
Motion made and seconded to move this item to the end of our agenda. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed? It's going to be taken up at the end of our agenda. Agenda item number 12.
Communication from Assistant City Solicitor Jeremy McManus regarding the application for a special permit from Alta Behavioral Health LLC to operate a non-residential outpatient facility licensed under 105 CMR 164 as a substance abuse treatment program in an existing building at 400 Donald J. Lynch Boulevard, order number 24-100-9099.
Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to accept and place on file the communication from the Assistant City Solicitor and move the special permit to agenda item number 19.
Motion made and seconded to accept and place on file the communication from the solicitor and to move this item down to agenda item number 19. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It is filed and moved down to agenda item 19, 11-0. Agenda item number 13.
Communication from Assabet Superintendent Director Ernest Houle regarding proposed establishment of a stabilization fund by Assabet Regional Vocational Technical School District pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 71, Section 16G.5.
Councilor Irish.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to refer to the Finance Committee, please.
Motion made and seconded to refer to the Finance Committee. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It is going to Finance, 11-0. Agenda item 14.
Communication from Attorney Mark Donahue on behalf of Calverde Naturals LLC regarding a requests to extend time of commencement of construction to December 31st, 2024, and commencement of retail sales operations to December 31st, 2025, pursuant to the special permit granted on June 7th, 2021, order number 21-100-8214C.
Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to approve the extension of time.
Motion made and seconded to extend the time. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? The special permit time extension is extended to 12/31/24 for construction start. Vote is 11-0. Agenda item 15.
Petition of Massachusetts Electric and Verizon New England to install one joint-owned pole on D'Angelo Drive at a point approximately 568 feet southwest of the center line of the intersection of Cedar Hill Street. Install 50 feet of C1.2 midspan pole number 2-50 between poles 2 and 3. And a 25 kVR transformer fused at 10 will be installed on the new midspan pole.
Councilor Landers.
Thank you, Mr. President. Please set a date for a public hearing.
We'll set a public hearing for June 3rd, 2024. So motion's made and seconded to set that public hearing for June 3rd, 2024. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? We will have a public hearing on June 3rd, 2024. Vote is 11-0. Agenda item number 16.
Application from Ghostlight Players regarding request for local approval of a one-day Beano license pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 10, Section 38, to be issued by the Massachusetts Lottery Commission.
Councilor Landers.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a pleasure. Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve the bingo license. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That license is approved, 11-0. Agenda item number 17.
To boards, commissions, and committees.
Mr. President?
Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Motion to accept and place on file the minutes of the board, commissions, and committees.
Motion made and seconded, accept and place on file all the minutes. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? The minutes are filed, 11-0. Agenda item 18.
Claims.
Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to send the claims to legal department.
Motion made and seconded to send the claims to the legal department. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Claims are going to legal, 11-0. We have reports of committees. Who wants to go first? Councilor Irish.
Thank you, Mr. President. Finance Committee met on May 13th, 2024. The meeting convened at 6:30 p.m. We had one item on the agenda that evening, order number 24-100-9160, proposed fiscal year 2025 operating budget from Mayor Dumas in the amount of $196,610,886. Chair Irish read the May 2nd, 2024 letter from the mayor, supplemented by a May 6, 2024 letter submitting the budget for review and approval in the amount of $196,610,886, representing a 4.69% increase over FY 2024, primarily due increased funding for the Marlborough Public Schools, Assabet Valley Regional, gas and electric utilities, and reserve for employees' salaries. The Finance Committee reviewed each department budget with the mayor and municipal department heads and proposed the following adjustments to the mayor's budget. On a motion by Council Brown, seconded by Chair Irish, Finance Committee voted 5-0 to reduce the FY 2025 budget by $717,732 as listed in the below table, and resulting in an amended fiscal year 2025 municipal operating budget in the amount of $195,893,154. This represents an increase of $8,082,230, or a 4.3% increase. Meeting adjourned at 10:05 p.m. that evening, and I will be asking for a suspension this evening, Mr. President.
Motion made and seconded for a suspension. All those in favor of the suspension? Opposed? Suspension carries. Councilor Irish.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to move the recommendation of committee to approve the FY 2025 municipal operating budget in the amount of $1,195,893,154.
Motion made and seconded to approve the Finance Committee recommendation of the budget for $195,893,154. Discussion on the motion. Councilor Oram.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is where I will present my motion properly. And my motion would be to reconsider the communication director and reinstate the $73,000 for that position. I already indicated why I feel it should be reinstated. That's my motion for the floor, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Oram. Is there a second?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, I'm going to second this. I think communications director is an important part of this, an organization of this size. If we're going to argue about where it should sit, and if this does not pass in this, in this round, I think we need to put it in the city council office, because basically we need someone to be in charge of communication and the website. And it's tough to find someone who's responsible for that. That's not a communication specialist. Thank you.
There's been a motion made and seconded to reinstate the $73,000 for the communication director. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 1, 2, opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Does not carry. 9, 2 in favor, 9 opposed. On the motion to approve the fiscal year 2025 budget as submitted by the Finance Committee of $195,893,154. All those, any additional discussion? All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It is approved, 11-0. Next up, who wants to go next? Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the Urban Affairs and Housing Committee met on Thursday, May 16th. We had one item on our agenda, order number 2224-100-88694E, a communication from David Roach, Procopio Companies on behalf of Marlborough, TOTG, and JW Capital, to amend the site plan decision for the mixed-use project located at 57 Main Street in the Marlborough District pursuant to the March 6, 2024 settlement agreement, as well as the March 12th order of remand. I opened the meeting and read the communication sent to the council from Solicitor Grossfield on May 6th regarding the next steps following the land court's order on a motion for remand. And then I went through the communication from Priscilla Ryder, Conservation Sustainability Officer, stating she'd worked with the applicant and had provided comments that they made in amending the draft. There were 3 items that were not incorporated and needed further discussion. They included City Engineer DePercio's recommending that the project, when the project is complete, include signage that directs vehicles exiting the new High Street driveway left turn, and signage that directs the vehicles exiting the new Exchange Street driveway right turn only. The Assistant Building Commissioner, Bill Payton, commented that the plan set needs to include a lighting plan. We need to see a lighting plan to ensure that the lighting does not spill off the site. And how does stair number 1 egress occupants get out of the building in an emergency? It appears that the occupants must go back directly into the building. And they have added language about pest control under C7, but there was a suggestion to add the standard language. The pest control plan should be submitted to the Board of Health for review and approval prior to construction. So the chair started reading through all of the amended site plan, and we made a few changes. In B2, green design, the applicant had deleted number 5 footings. In section C, construction language was added regarding the DPW coordination for utility work on Main Street, and the request from the Board of Health to include their standard language was added. Section E, landscaping language is added that the landscaped areas would be served by a subsurface irrigation or other means, and that there would be no snow storage on site and all snow would be removed. Section F, parking in the parking garage. Language was added that the EV parking stations would all be located on the lowest level of the garage. Horizontal openings would be enlarged to maximize ventilation. And the plans would show where the car share space is located. Section G, other conditions, language was added to include Main Street to the list of improvements with the replacement of the concrete sidewalk adjacent to Main Street. Section H, general provisions, was amended to correct a typo. Regarding the number of residential units, which is 92, and the total number of bedrooms above 132. Those could not be increased. Councilor Doucette moved to recommend approval of the amended and restated site plan approval with conditions for 57 Main Street. The motion was seconded and the vote carried 4-0. I'm asking for suspension this evening so that this can be referred to legal and be put on a future council agenda.
Council Preciado.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to recuse myself from the matter because I'm a direct abutter.
Thank you. Let the record reflect that Council Preciado will not be participating. Motion made and seconded to suspend the rules. All those in favor of the suspension? Opposed? Suspension carries 10-0. Councilor Roby.
Move to refer the amended and restated site plan to the solicitor to be put in proper form.
Motion made and seconded to send the amended language to the solicitor to put in proper format for our next meeting. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? The language is going to go to the solicitor to put in proper format for the council at our next meeting. The vote is 10-0. Councilor Naven. Saving the best for last, Mr. Lambert.
Sorry, Councilor. I was not looking left as I should have been. The City Council Personnel Committee met on May 16th, 2024. We convened at 7:17 with all 3 councilors of the committee present, non-voting members Present were Councilors Ossing, Landers, Ficillo, Irish, Roby, and Orem. We had one item on the agenda that was order number 24-100-9156, proposed ordinance amendment to Chapter 125 to delete Section 10C, granting the mayor the authority to waive any 2 steps of the salary schedule, and to also delete Section 18A4 that allows the mayor the authority to grant an additional week of vacation time, effective at the time of employment for all non-union personnel, submitted by Council President Ossing. The chair read the order and then turned the floor over to President Ossing. President addressed his proposal, indicating that the City Council adopted the ordinance during the pandemic, and that although changes to then Mayor Vigen's proposal were suggested by councilors, the ordinance was approved as submitted by the mayor without a sunset clause and notification to the City Council. He added the proposal is not a reflection of any administration. Councilor Doucette spoke against the proposal, explaining his personal experience in the private sector to gain expanded vacation time and the importance of the mayor's ability to quickly offer increased compensation and vacation time to new hires. Councilor Brown stated support for the ordinance and the City Council's authority. As a City Councilor and member of the legislative body, and unlike in the private sector, she has a responsibility to the taxpayers. The chair noted that he would support both a sunset clause and a notification requirement to the council by the mayor when the mayor's expanded authority under the ordinance is implemented. On the other hand, he had been concerned about giving up the council's authority under the ordinance. The chair explained that the mayor was unable to attend the meeting, but submitted a letter and supporting documents against the ordinance, requesting that his communication and attachments would be made available for the public viewing, which they are on the City Council website. The chair suggested that if the mayor's authority under the ordinance is maintained, it should be used judiciously, and the City Council should be notified when there are extraordinary circumstances to warrant increased steps and vacation time. Councilor Landers did not believe anyone was leaving the city's employ due to vacation benefits, but with new hires, the perks of the job do come into play. He stated that a few weeks' time to process increased benefits for new hires should not make a difference. Councilor Roby stated that she was conflicted as she voted against the ordinance when it was approved because the sunset clause and notification to the council had not been included. She now believes it may be a good tool for the mayor to hire new non-union managers. However, if the mayor's authority is maintained, notice to the City Council should be required. Councilor Doucette spoke again in opposition to the order, in favor of leaving the ordinance as it exists today to maintain the mayor's expanded authority to hire employees at a higher salary steps and to add vacation days without the need to request City Council approval. On a motion by Councilor Brown, seconded by the chair, the Personnel Committee recommends approval of the proposed ordinance. The vote was 2-1. Councilor Doucette opposed. We adjourned at 7:50 p.m. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Navin. Councilor Landers.
You sure I'm last now? Public Service Committee meeting met on May 8th. We took up one item, order number 24-1009-151. And that was for an application for a taxi livery license from Adam Smith, living at 715 Robin Hill Road. Petitioner indicated, and I visited the site, that there's plenty of parking out there. As I told him, I would not want to shovel his driveway during the winter. That's how big it was. But he brought up some interesting facts that we were surprised at, that he does a lot of taxi or livery driving from Logan Airport, and he caters to the pilots. I didn't realize that so many pilots stay at some of the hotels in Marlborough, which is, a real plus. And the fact that they're opening up a new international terminal, he says there's going to be probably more pilots. So, that's how businesses help businesses. The chief indicated that his query was fine, so we voted on that. So the subcommittee did vote 2-0 to approve this application. And Mr. President, I would like a suspension that we could vote on this tonight.
Motion made and seconded for the suspension. All those in favor of the suspension? Opposed? Suspension carries 11-0. Councilor Landers.
Okay, thank you. So my motion is to approve this order number to grant Mr. Adam Smith the taxi and liberty license.
Motion made and seconded to approve the taxi license for Mr. Smith. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? The taxi license is approved, 11-0. Are there any other reports of committees? Seeing none, agenda item 19.
Order number 24-109-099, application for a special permit from Alta Behavioral Health LLC to operate a non-residential outpatient facility licensed under 105 CMR 164 as a substance abuse treatment program in an existing building at 400 Donald J. Lynch Boulevard. Recommendation of the Urban Affairs Committee is to approve.
Councilor Roby.
Thank you. Move the recommendation of committee, which is to approve.
Motion made and seconded to move the recommendation of the committee, which is to approve the special permit. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I will ask the clerk to please read the conditions.
The City Council, pursuant to its authority under Mass General Law, Chapter 48, and the Marlborough zoning ordinance, grants the applicant a special permit to operate a non-residential outpatient facility licensed under 105 CMR 164 as a substance abuse treatment program in an existing building at 400 Donald J. Lynch Boulevard with a reasonable accommodation under the Americans with Disabilities Act in the form of a waiver from having to comply with subsection C 2A of Section 650-31 of Article 4, subject to the following conditions, which conditions shall be binding on the applicant and successors and/or assigns. 1, compliance with building regulations. Build-out and modification of the premises to be occupied shall be in accordance with all applicable building codes in effect in the City of Marlborough and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. 2, application and documents. All plans, drawings, site evaluations, and documentation provided by the applicant as part of this special permit application, including the site plan, are herein incorporated into and become a part of this special permit and become conditions and requirements of the same. 3, compliance with local, state, and federal laws. The applicant agrees to comply with all rules, regulations, and ordinances of the City of Marlborough, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and the federal government as they may apply to the construction, maintenance, and operation of the applicant's proposed use at the premises as supplemented by the applicable conditions of this special permit. 4, incorporation of plans and drawings. All terms, conditions, requirements, approvals, plans, and drawings provided by the applicant as part of this special permit application and is amended during the application hearing process before the City Council and/or the City Council's Urban Affairs Committee, including the site plan, are herein incorporated into and become part of this special permit and become conditions and requirements of the same unless otherwise altered by the City Council. 5, compliance of signs with sign ordinance. All building signage at the location shall comply with the City of Marlborough sign ordinance. 6, fire protection. Fire protection systems shall be acceptable in all respects to the City of Marlborough Fire Chief or their designee. 7, safety. The applicant's premises shall be locked even during program hours, office hours. The front desk shall be staffed during program hours, and patients will be required to sign in and sign out. A waiting area shall be used with the premises to minimize congestion and wait time outside the premises for pickups. 8, recording of decision. In accordance with the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 48, Section 11, the applicant and successors and/or assigns, at his expense, shall record this special permit in the Middlesex South Registry of Deeds after the city clerk has certified that the 20-day period for appealing the special permit has elapsed with no appeal having been filed. After recording, but prior to issuance of a building permit, applicant shall provide the City Council and the City Solicitor's Office with a copy of the recorded special permit. And 9, unless the context otherwise clearly requires, all references in the above conditions to applicant's successors and/or assigns shall also refer to and include any subtenant or tenants of the applicant.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. You heard the conditions. Are there any additional discussion on the motion to approve the special permit? Seeing none, I will ask the clerk to please call the roll. A yes vote is to approve the special permit.
Councilor Roby.
Yes.
Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Councilor Irish.
Yes.
Councilor Ossing.
Yes.
Councilor Navin.
Yes.
Councilor Doucette.
Yes.
Councilor Oram.
Yes.
Councilor Landers.
Yes.
Councilor Vital. Yes. Councilor Fruccillo.
Yes.
Councilor Preciado.
Yes.
11 yeas, sir.
The special permit for altered behavior at 400 Donald Lynch Boulevard is approved by a vote of 11 in favor, none opposed. Our last item on the agenda is the executive session. If you would read the order, please.
Move that the Marlborough City Council meet in executive session under Purpose 3 of the Open Meeting Law, Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation, if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the public body regarding the pending matter, City of Marlborough versus the Town of Northborough. As the chair hereby declares that discussion in an open session may have a detrimental effect on the city and the city's litigating position. The City Council will reconvene in open session after the executive session.
So again, councilors, we're going to go into executive session. We will come out of executive session and then reconvene. So we will be coming back into formal session. So on the motion to go into executive session, that is a roll call vote. I will ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilor Ossing.
Yes.
Councilor Landers.
Yes.
Councilor Roby.
First, I believe there needs to be a motion made that order was read, but nobody moved to
I'm sorry.
approve the order. So
Council Roby, you want to make a
we'll just
motion?
go backwards and move to approve the order and reconvene in public when we're finished.
Motion made and seconded to approve the order, and we will reconvene after we're done. I'll ask the clerk to call the roll again.
Counselor Ossing?
Yes.
Counselor Landers?
Yes.
Counselor Roby? Yes. Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Counselor Vital?
Yes.
Counselor Oram?
Yes.
Counselor Irish?
Yes.
Counselor Naven?
Yes.
Counselor Preciado?
Yes.
Counselor Fucillo?
Yes.
Counselor Doucette?
Yes.
11 yeas, sir.
All right, the vote is 11-0 to go into executive session. I will ask the public to kindly leave the chamber. You can hang out outside if you want to stay. I don't know how long this will go. I will also ask the cable guys to let us know when they are done. Councilors, you have a 2 or 3 minute recess to go use the facilities or stretch at this point in time, and then we'll go into executive session. Session at 10:07. We've completed our executive session. During that executive session, the City Council voted to authorize entering into a settlement agreement in connection with the lawsuit between the City of Marlborough and the Town of Northborough. The settlement agreement includes a new intermunicipal agreement for the wastewater treatment plant with the Town of Northborough. I will entertain a motion to authorize the intermunicipal agreement.
So moved.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the intermunicipal agreement with the Town of Northborough. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? The intermunicipal agreement is approved by a vote of 11-0. Councilor Naven.
Thank you, Mr. President. Quick public service announcement. As we know, Memorial Day is coming up on Monday. City of Marlborough has a long and proud history of honoring our veterans and spending Memorial Day weekend with many activities to do so. So I did just want to note for the public, in addition to our normal Memorial Day parade, which will begin at 10 a.m. And leave from the American Legion and proceed up Main Street to the memorials along the way. And there will be a brief speaking program at the end of that parade. Also, Sunday morning at 9 a.m. at the Italian-American War Veterans Post, veterans will be departing to decorate the outlying cemeteries across our city. And there will be a light luncheon served after that if people would like to join that. Additionally, Monday morning at 7 a.m., Matt Sargent has started a tradition where they will run from Hildreth School downtown to the memorials, where they will they put out pictures of all Marlborough's fallen veterans, and those go out and we read the names, their rank, and a little bit about how they died. It's quite a moving event. I would encourage people to go if they have not been, and they are available to do so. That said, move to adjourn.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? We are adjourned at 10:09. Thank you, everyone.